Thanks for joining me on episode 1248 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Paul Son from Kara. I challenge you to discover your true identity and calling so you can be empowered to live every day to the fullest. One way to be inspired to do that is to listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my friend Scott Mater.
You do need to actually have daily goals and these sorts of things, but also concentrate on noticing your surroundings and being grateful for things as they happen in the moment, as they happen then. Pay attention to how do you feel, both physically as well as emotionally. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's episode about developing your influence by stewarding your time, I talk with you about what it means to be present in the moment. I also share several ways you can practice being present in the moment, and I share why you might want to work on being present in the moment. As we talk about stewarding your time, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without just taking too long? Turns out you can. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show just that quick. If you enjoy the show when you are ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon. I think a lot of us are goal-oriented people. I know I am. I get wrapped up in setting and achieving and identifying what are my goals? What am I trying to get done? What's the next thing that needs to happen and how can I get to it? But I have to remind myself that it's important to also be present in the moment, to treasure the moments of the time that we're in. I talked last week about how there really is no future, no past. There's only the present. And this is part of that. It has to do with both our thoughts and our actions in the moment. Being present in the moment means quieting our thoughts to some extent. It means to stop thinking about what we're going to do next, what we're going to make for dinner, what we're going to get done in our work or our business, that mental to-do list that we do all of the time, and instead to think only about what is happening now, in this moment, to feel the emotions of the time, to feel the sense of the time, the physical moments of the time. And then secondly, being present in the moment means shutting out and turning off distractions and focusing on the people and the present around you in this moment. It means when you're listening to someone, actually listening to them, not also glancing over at your phone or paying attention to the TV or these other things that are going on. I think a lot of times we blame technology. We think that this distraction that we have is brought on by technology, but I think it's something that's always been present in our life at some level. It's easy to constantly be moving to the next thing. And wherever you are, to be thinking about where else you could be. I think our minds and our ability to plan and our ability to think is a great benefit of our humanness, but it also can be a problem because it causes us to worry about the future, to be anxious all of the time, and to not then be present in those beautiful moments that happen now. Most of our time is spent focusing on what we're not doing in the present as opposed to what we are doing in the present. So some of the things that you need to be able to do to be able to be present. First, recognize that you are not your thoughts. What you are thinking, that inner voice, that inner monologue, that inner to-do list is not you. Listening to that inner voice, you can learn to quiet it by recognizing its presence and then recognizing that's not you. As always, practicing mindfulness is important. It's intentional attention to the present, recognizing and paying attention. Sometimes that involves stopping and feeling the physical experiences. What are you feeling? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you smelling? As well, you need to recognize how are you feeling about it as well. Recognize and acknowledge your emotions. Recognize and acknowledge how you feel about things. Recognize and acknowledge and examine each and every thought that comes into your head and the emotion behind it. Remember, fear is often an emotion that shows up, but it's hidden. So feel where the feelings you have are coming from. You do need to actually have daily goals and these sorts of things, but also concentrate on noticing your surroundings and being grateful for things as they happen in the moment, as they happen then. Pay attention to how do you feel, both physically as well as emotionally. Spending time in meditation, spending time in spiritual time, whether that's Bible reading or prayer time, spending time in relationships, making sure that you've got time and energy in all of those places, and then go beyond that. Make sure that you're actually focused on where you are when you're there. Because at the end of the day, being present in the moment allows you to have that gratitude for the moment, and therefore gives you more energy and more ability to do the things that you really want to do. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of time, be sure to sign up for our Stewardship of Time Tips series by going to inspiredstewardship.com/time or texting 44222 time tips, and that'll get you our best tips on stewarding your time. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.